I stumbled through the door at 10:15 p.m., my work uniform soaked through with sweat, knees scraped bloody from crawling through equipment rooms for the past 14 hours. I hadn't eaten since noon. The house was quiet, kids already in bed, Linda at the sink washing dishes. I opened the fridge. Empty. No leftovers, nothing. "Hey babe, anything left from dinner?" I asked, my stomach growling. She didn't even turn around. "You're an adult. Cook for yourself." I stood there, certain I'd misheard. "What?" She spun around, irritation written across her face. "I made dinner for the kids at 6. You weren't here. I'm not running a restaurant where people show up whenever and expect food ready. I was working. I texted you I'd be late. There were 3 tower failures. That's your choice." She cut me off. "You chose that job. You chose the overtime. Don't expect me to rearrange everything because you can't manage your schedule." My choice. The job that paid for this house. For her car? For Ryan's soccer cleats and Sophie's art supplies, and the $180 hair appointment she got last month? I was too exhausted to fight. I made a peanut butter sandwich, went to bed, and stared at the ceiling for hours. That's when I knew. After 3 years of marriage, I finally saw the truth. I wasn't Linda's husband. I was her ATM machine that occasionally got to sleep in the same house. Let me back up. I'm 32, married to Linda who's 29. She has 2 kids from her previous marriage, Ryan, 11, and Sophie, 8. When we started dating 5 years ago, everything felt equal. She worked full-time as a marketing coordinator, we split bills, took turns cooking, the whole partnership thing. Her ex was a deadbeat who barely paid child support. I stepped up for those kids because I wanted to, not because anyone asked. After we married, Linda cut back to freelance graphic design, maybe 15 to 20 hours a week, bringing in $800 to $1,000 a month. She wanted to be more available for Ryan and Sophie. Made sense. They'd been through enough instability. I told her I'd handle the finances while she got established working from home. I handle all the finances. Mortgage, utilities, car payments, insurance, groceries, everything. But that night, standing in my own kitchen after a brutal 14-hour shift, being told to cook for myself like I was some roommate asking for favors, that broke something in me. I kept thinking about my parents. Dad worked construction, sometimes 12-hour days. Mom always had a plate waiting for him. Not because she was his servant, but because she loved him. That's what I thought marriage looked like. The comments on my post wrecked me. People asked if this pattern showed up elsewhere in my life. I started paying attention. And holy shit, it was everywhere. So I decided to run an experiment. Monday, I stopped at the grocery store and bought food just for myself. Good steaks, fancy pasta, expensive bread, stuff I usually skip even though I'm earning the money. I made myself a proper dinner. Linda was feeding the kids boxed mac and cheese. She looked confused when I walked past with my plate, but said nothing. Tuesday morning, I made myself a real breakfast. Eggs, bacon, toast, coffee. Just for me. When Linda came downstairs and saw me eating, she asked where hers was. I looked up from my plate. "You're an adult. Cook for yourself." Her face went white. She grabbed a yogurt and disappeared upstairs. Wednesday, Linda mentioned taking the kids to see the new superhero movie. Normally I'd have asked to join. This time I just said cool and called my buddy Jake. We grabbed dinner and drinks. I haven't hung out with Jake in months. I always felt guilty being away from the family. When I got home around 9, Linda asked where I'd been with an edge in her voice. "Out with Jake." "You didn't think to ask if we wanted to do something as a family? You already made plans without asking me. That's different." "How?" She had no answer. Thursday, I came home to Ryan struggling with math homework. Linda was on her laptop working. I usually help him. But when Ryan asked for help, I told him to ask his mom. She was available, and I was tired. Linda's head snapped up. "I'm working." So was I? All day. She helped Ryan, but shot daggers at me the whole time. Friday was the breaking point. I came home early for once. Linda was making spaghetti, enough for 3. She saw me but said nothing about dinner. So I made myself a grilled cheese and sat at the counter eating it. "Why aren't you eating with us?" Ryan asked. Before I could answer, Linda exploded. "What is wrong with you this week? You're acting like you don't even live here anymore." I met her eyes calmly. "I'm just taking care of myself. Cooking for myself. Like you told me to." "That's not. You're being ridiculous. Taking things too far." "Then explain what you meant." She couldn't. Just kept saying I was being dramatic, making a point instead of communicating like an adult. I tried communicating, I said quietly. You made it clear that expecting basic consideration was unreasonable. Sophie looked scared. I dropped it for her sake. But that night, I checked our joint bank account. In 3 months, Linda had spent $1,200 on clothes and entertainment for herself and the kids. I couldn't remember the last time I bought myself anything that wasn't work-related. Last weekend I mentioned needing new work boots. Linda said, "That's a work expense. Your company should pay for it. They give us a yearly allowance." I'd already used it on safety equipment. "Well, you'll figure it out," she shrugged. But when Sophie wanted a $150 art easel, purchased immediately. When Ryan needed cleats, top of the line, no questions asked. I wasn't angry about supporting my family financially. I was angry that I only seemed to be family when it was time to pay for something. I love Ryan and Sophie. Great kids. None of this is their fault. But Linda had created a household where SHE and her children were the family. And I was the bank account that occasionally got to participate. I called a divorce attorney Monday morning. His name's Robert Larson. He was straight with me. Since Linda and I don't have kids together and she works part-time, I probably wouldn't know much spousal support. The house is in my name. I bought it before we married. She might get some equity for improvements, but that's it. I didn't file immediately, though. I wanted one last conversation. Wednesday night, after the kids went to bed, I sat Linda down. I was calm, specific. I explained that I felt like an outsider in my own home, that I didn't feel valued as a husband, that things needed to change if this marriage was going to survive. She rolled her eyes. "You're being overly sensitive. This is just how families work. Families work by treating one member like an ATM. Don't be dramatic." She crossed her arms. "You act like I'm some gold digger. I work. I take care of the house. I manage the kids. Just because I don't worship the ground you walk on doesn't mean I don't appreciate you." Most wives don't tell their husbands to fend for themselves after a 14-hour workday. Most husbands don't expect their wives to be their personal servants. That wasn't what I was asking for. I tried to explain, told her about my parents, how they took care of each other out of love, not obligation. She got more defensive, said I was making her feel guilty for having boundaries, that I should appreciate what she does do instead of focusing on what she doesn't. Like what? I asked. What do you do that shows you value me as your husband and not just as a provider? Long silence. Then, I keep the house. I take care of the kids. I'm here when you come home. You're here. Like furniture is here. That's not fair. What do you think I bring to this marriage besides money? Even longer silence. You're a good provider. And you're decent with the kids. A good provider. That's it. That's how my wife sees me. Do you love me? I asked. Or do you just love what I provide? She got angry. Said I was manipulating her with gotcha questions. Of course she loved me. But love isn't just feelings. It's about partnership and responsibility. What partnership? I was so tired. Partners make decisions together. Partners consider each other's needs. Partners include each other in their lives. You make plans without me, spend money without discussing it, treat my need for basic consideration like I'm being unreasonable. You're twisting everything. If I lost my job tomorrow and couldn't find work for 6 months, would you still want to be married to me? She hesitated, just for a second. But that second told me everything. I filed Friday. She was served Monday morning while I was at work. She called at 10, screaming. I was selfish, cruel, abandoning her and the children. I tried talking to you for months. You dismissed every concern. You never said you were thinking about divorce. I shouldn't have had to threaten divorce to get you to treat me like your husband. When I got home that evening, she was crying. Ryan and Sophie were at her sister's. She kept saying she didn't understand. Things weren't that bad. I was throwing away our family over petty things like dinner. I'm not your husband in this house, I said quietly. I'm your financial backer. I'm not living like that anymore. I can change. Her voice cracked. I can make you dinner, include you more, just please don't do this, Linda. You shouldn't have to force yourself to include your husband in your life. The fact that you think these are things you need to consciously do proves my point. Is there anything I can do to fix this? The time for that was months ago when I first told you how I felt. You made it clear my feelings didn't matter enough to change anything. Now I'm making a change you can't ignore. I've been staying in the guest room. Found an apartment near work, moving in this weekend. Last night, Sophie knocked on the door. Are you mad at me and Ryan? It broke my heart. Absolutely not, sweetheart. Grown-up problems sometimes happen. It has nothing to do with you guys. Will you still help me with my science fair project? Of course I will. The lawyer says this'll be straightforward. No shared kids, limited joint assets. Linda will need to find a place she can afford on her income. The kids will adjust. They're resilient. I'm sad about how this turned out, especially for Ryan and Sophie. But I can't model for them that it's okay to accept being treated as less important than a bank account. Linda's called 6 times today. I'm not ready. I told her to communicate through lawyers. Jake came over last night with pizza and beer. First time I've had a friend over in 2 years. Linda never said I couldn't, but there was always a reason why it wasn't a good time. Kids had homework. She had a headache. House needed cleaning. I was walking on eggshells in my own home. 6 weeks later, the divorce is almost final. Linda initially tried claiming she deserved half the house value. Her attorney shut that down. We settled on $15,000 for home improvements. Fair enough. I keep the house, retirement accounts, and my truck. She keeps her car and freelance equipment. She's moving in with her sister temporarily, same school district, so Ryan and Sophie won't have to switch mid-year. But here's the kicker. Once Linda realized I was serious, she completely changed. Started making me dinner, asking about my day, being affectionate, including me in conversations. Everything I'd been begging for. Last week, she made my favorite meal. Had it waiting when I got home. Asked about my day. Offered to rub my shoulders. 6 months ago, this would have meant everything. Now it just feels hollow. Yesterday she asked if her changed behavior made any difference. It proves you were always capable of treating me like a husband, I said. You just chose not to until there were consequences. I didn't realize. I thought you knew I loved you. How would I know? You never showed it in ways that mattered to me. She started crying. Said she'd taken me for granted, gotten too comfortable. I believe she's sincere. But it doesn't matter. She had 3 years. She only cares now because she's losing her financial security. I'm keeping the apartment even after the divorce is final. It's smaller, but it feels like home. I cook dinner for myself every night and actually enjoy it. Nobody treating it like an inconvenience that I need to eat. I can invite friends over. Watch whatever I want on TV without being made to feel selfish. Ryan texted asking if I could help with a science project. Linda allowed it. We spent Saturday building a volcano model at my apartment. It was good, and it confirmed something. I can still be part of their lives without being married to their mother. Why did you move out? Ryan asked while we mixed baking soda and vinegar. Sometimes grown-ups realize they want different things. It's better to live separately than be unhappy together. Are you happier now? I thought about it honestly. Yeah, buddy. I am. Sophie came over yesterday for her science fair project about planets. We made a solar system model. She chattered about which planet she'd visit. It was easy. Natural. No tension, no eggshells. Just time with a kid I care about. When Linda picked her up, she lingered at the door, looking around my apartment. You seem lighter, she said. I feel lighter. I'm not dating yet, but I'm not ruling it out forever. I learned what I will and won't accept in a relationship. Next time I'll speak up earlier and leave sooner if nothing changes. And I'll look for someone who's interested in me as a person, not just as a provider. Linda and I are civil now. We'll always be connected because of the kids. That's fine. But I'm done trying to earn love from someone who never wanted to give it. She's working more hours now. Talking about going back to school for something stable. Apparently losing a husband who pays most of your bills is great motivation to become self-sufficient. Last week she asked if I thought she was a bad person. No, I said. I think you got comfortable in a dynamic that worked for you and didn't want to examine if it was fair to me. But intent doesn't change impact. I wasn't asking for too much. I was just asking the wrong person.